The Hope Gala audit, an analyst's confession, the annual Hope Gala hosted by the regional charity. The Lighthouse Trust was in full, dazzling swing. The event was a meticulously orchestrated display of wealth mingling with philanthropy. Crystal glasses clinked like distant chimes, reflecting the shimmer of expensive jewelry and the soft glow of candlelight dot on the main stage, set against a banner that read "Building Brighter Futures, Philip Vance." A notorious property magnate and the charity's largest single donor took the microphone. His polished, practiced smile quickly dissolved into a public mask of cold, theatrical fury. His immediate target was Ben Carter, a meek, perpetually nervous man in a suit that was visibly too large for his slight frame. Ben had been quietly volunteering in the finance department for months. He stood nearby, holding a binder to his chest, his expression one of immediate, deep distress, the picture of a man crumbling under pressure. "Friends, supporters, esteemed board members, look at this man," Philip commanded, gesturing aggressively toward Ben with a sweeping, contemptuous arc of his hand. "This volunteer is proof that goodwill and sentimentality are absolutely no substitute for basic competence. I entrusted the Lighthouse Trust with a substantial donation. This quarter a cool $500,000 earmarked specifically for the new Community Center Fund." Philip pounded the wooden podium for emphasis, the sound echoing unnervingly through the ballroom. "And thanks to the gross negligence and utterly amateur management of Mr. Carter here, over 20% of those precious funds, $100,000, were routed to an unapproved, unverified, offshore account. Misappropriation, utter mismanagement. This money was supposed to build a future for children who have nothing, and instead, it's being handled by someone who looks like he runs his entire life on sticky notes." The crowd, a mix of high-profile donors and society figures, murmured loudly, their attention shifting between the enraged donor and the shrinking volunteer. The drama was irresistible. Philip leaned back into the microphone, lowering his voice to a theatrical, venomous whisper designed to land heavily on every ear. "I am withdrawing my support immediately," Philip declared, causing a distinct ripple of panic among the charity's seated board members. "Losing Philip Vance would be devastating, and I demand, Mr. Carter, that you explain yourself right now. Are you simply incompetent, or are you just a petty thief? Because either way, I will see you personally prosecuted for jeopardizing the future of this organization and the community it serves." Ben Carter, who had been intently studying the floor tiles as if searching for an escape route, slowly lifted his gaze to meet Philip's fiery eyes. The nervous tremor in his hands, which had been gripping the binder, vanished completely. His entire posture shifted in that instant, and a weak, amateur persona disappeared, replaced by the heavy, measured authority of a man in absolute, supreme control. "I apologize for the distraction, Mr. Vance," Ben said, his voice quiet but carrying an unmistakable cold edge that instantly silenced the crowd's murmuring. "And I apologize for my attire. I find that a cheap, ill-fitting suit and a nervous demeanor are excellent tools for minimizing suspicion from those who judge entirely on appearance." He walked calmly to the podium, his movements steady, and took the microphone gently from Philip's paralyzed hand. He did not sound like a volunteer anymore. He sounded like a judge about to deliver a verdict. "For the record, Mr. Vance, the funds were neither mismanaged nor misappropriated. They were simply diverted specifically to a flagged evidence account I set up 2 weeks ago." Philip spluttered, his practiced anger momentarily forgotten, replaced by raw shock. "You admit it? You're confessing to theft in public. You fool!" "I admit to securing critical evidence," Ben corrected, his eyes never leaving the magnate's face. He pulled a small, encrypted thumb drive from the binder he had been holding and inserted it into the laptop, connected to the gala's main projection screen. The screen, which moments ago displayed a hopeful, soft-focus photo of children playing in a park, was suddenly filled with a dense, complex financial ledger. At the top of the ledger, in bright, unmistakable red font, was the heading, "Audit Report, Covert Money Movement and Laundering, Ladies and Gentlemen," Ben announced, his voice now booming with professional confidence, resonating with the full weight of the state. My name is not Ben Carter. It is Dr. Elias Thorne, and I am the lead forensic auditor for the Office of the Attorney General. I have been volunteering in the Lighthouse Trust's finance department for the past 4 months. Under a special, covert mandate, the entire room went utterly silent. Philip Vance's face, moments ago flushed with performative rage, was now a ghastly, sickening white, his eyes wide with dawning catastrophe. The initial $500,000 donation Mr. Vance made, Dr. Thorne continued, pointing to a transaction highlighted on the screen, was indeed legitimate. It was the bait. However, the subsequent, much smaller and frequent emergency transfers he repeatedly authorized through our systems were not. Mr. Vance was using the charity's clean, legitimate donation fund, our community center fund, as a clearinghouse. Dr. Thorne zoomed in on a specific row of data, making the wire transfers clearly visible to the horrified onlookers. The $100,000 he just loudly accused me of stealing, that was the final, critical outgoing transfer to the offshore account I had flagged for seizure. It was not Lighthouse Trust funds. It was money that had been laundered through Mr. Vance's own shell company accounts, disguised as charitable overhead, and then funneled through the Trust's clean bank account, for the express purpose of washing the paper trail. He looked directly at the stunned Philip Vance, who was now stumbling backward. Mr. Vance, your entire public display tonight, the outrage, the loud, aggressive accusation, the threat of prosecution was a desperate, poorly executed attempt to create public friction and force me, the incompetent volunteer, to publicly reverse the transaction before the Attorney General's office could obtain the final, legally clean wire confirmation it needed for a successful asset seizure. Dr. Thorne held up the thumb drive like a trophy. The transaction confirmed 10 minutes ago, right as you were walking up to the microphone. We have the money, and we have the full, immutable, documented trail of your criminal activities. Philip Vance, his composure gone, let out a choked sound of pure animal desperation and lunged forward. Before he could take a second step, to tall, plainclothes officers, who had been posing flawlessly as waiters near the stage, moved instantly to intercept and firmly restrain the magnet. Dr. Thorne watched the spectacle of the arrest with cold, professional satisfaction. You didn't see me, Mr. Vance, because you measured value only by wealth and public prestige. You assumed that anyone serving the community and wearing a worn suit had to be beneath you to poor, or too stupid to understand the complex systems you manipulate. He paused, letting the heavy, devastating truth settle over the entire room. I came to this organization to serve the public trust. Mr. Vance, Dr. Thorne concluded, looking down at the struggling prisoner. And I assure you, the only person going to be prosecuted for jeopardizing this charity's future is you. Thank you for making the final public confession so easy.